Hello, this is Daniel back again, and today I want to pose a question to you. It's a question I've been asking myself and also some of my close friends recently, and that is it wrong to be ambitious? The reason I ask this is I have noticed in my life when I express my desire to improve myself, to get something, whether it's something tangible or it's to learn a new skill or to move to a new place or to achieve something in my life, a lot of people don't like the fact that I'm pushing myself to achieve more. They almost get a little bit resentful, or they become very pessimistic and tell me to be careful, not to work so hard, to be happy with what I have, etc., etc. And I notice this as a trend for a lot of people in my life. Now, keep in mind, these are people who love me. They're not enemies. They're actually friends and sometimes family members who, kind of think that they want the best for me, but somehow they have fallen into this belief that it is wrong to be ambitious, or to be too ambitious, to want more than the average person. Now, for me, my unique situation is that I grew up in Sydney, Australia in the 1980s, and I moved to California about 10 years ago. So I have experienced two different cultures. Even though they're both Western cultures, Australia and the US have very different cultures, particularly California. In Australia, there's a social trend called the tall poppy syndrome. You can look it up online. And basically, it's a social norm that is built into our culture, almost into our psyche, where we're not supposed to stand out or to rise too much above our friends and family. So if we have ambitions, things that we want to do in our lives, they have to align with or match the same level as the friends and family that we have. Now, the problem is, if you're the type of person who has ambitions that go above and beyond what your friends and family have, then you start to get a little bit rejected by them. They start to feel like you're doing things that are making them uncomfortable, or you're showing them to be not as successful as you are, and they get resentful, and they can often reject you or push against you and tell you to stop being so ambitious. Particularly for me, when I was younger, I used to work very, very hard when I was, in my late teens, my early 20s. And so many people would say to me, calm down, stop working so hard, take your time. Things will get better on their own. But really, I think what they were saying was, you're making me uncomfortable with your ambitions, because they weren't working as hard as me. They weren't pushing themselves and challenging themselves to get out of their comfort zone and to aspire and to work towards goals. They were actually feeling uncomfortable. I think my ambition in some ways was shining a light on their lack of ambition, or their laziness, or their fearfulness. And that's what I've come to understand as I've got a little bit older, is that a lot of the time, the reason that people give up their ambitions, and I know I've done it at times, and I'm sure you have as well, the reason we give up ambitions is because of fear. We fear looking foolish if we go too far, if we want to achieve something, if we have a goal that we want to reach for, if we fail, we'll look stupid. And we fear what people will think about us. So I've realized that ambitions are very much sort of in, adversarial, if you want to say they're the enemy almost of fears, right? If you have ambitions, you're going to have to face fears to achieve them. Now, I'll give you a quick example. For the past 5 years, I have had a goal, which I'm still working on, to win the World Championship of Public Speaking through Toastmasters. Now, every year for the past 5 years, I have worked very hard, and I've put myself on the line competing in contests. And I've been very lucky to make it to the higher levels of the contest several times. But I've never won the contest, which means I've failed every time. And not only have I failed, but I've failed in front of maybe 200, sometimes 1,000 people right in front of me when I've come third, or I've come second, or I haven't won at all, right? And so what has happened is I've failed publicly many, many times. And I've felt, when I have had to get up again the next year and compete again, my ambition fighting against my fear of failure and rejection. So I realized for a lot of people, the fear of failure or rejection actually starts to win them over, and they decide to be more normal like everybody else. So this is where I wanted to pose the question to you. Where do you feel your level of ambition starts to become unreasonable? There's a culture out there today. You probably noticed that if you go onto Instagram or places like that, there's this culture of, entrepreneurship and hustling, and, everyone wants to make fast money and travel the world and have a nice home and nice cars and all this kind of stuff. But I don't think that that is really true ambition. I think those are things that we're kind of fed by companies and, by whatever you want to say, social media influencers to see that that should be success. But when it comes down to it, we have our own individual ambitions. So for me, I know one particular ambition is to share as much knowledge and information as I can with as many people as I can. That doesn't mean that I have to be paid for it, doesn't mean I have to be recognized for it. I just love the idea that I can contribute something back to the world. That is an ambition. Now, if I make money doing it, great. And if I don't, I don't. I'm very fortunate to be a professional speaker and I get to do keynotes in front of people where I do get paid. But honestly, if I didn't get paid a cent, I would probably still do it because my desire, my ambition is to share with the world in the best way that I can. So to finish off today, I wanted to just give you an idea that I've been learning from this book here, which is called The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. This book just recently came out. Now, I'm probably not going to do a book review on this book because, as you can see, it's a very thick book, and honestly, it would take me hours to review this book, but I will say just go and read the book. It's amazing, like all of Robert Greene's books. In this book, he talks about aggression as one of the laws of human nature, and he says that ambition is very tied to aggression, which is really interesting to me because I never really made that link between the fact that when you're being ambitious in the world, you're kind of pushing yourself out into the world and onto the world, if you like. It's almost like an aggressive act. It's like, an animal hunting for food or, fighting for territory. It's got the same kind of natural urges inside ambitions. So that to me was a really good insight, and it made me realize that's maybe why some people don't like you to have too many ambitions in your life, because it triggers the same urges that aggression trigger, where you're pushing against the norm. You're making them feel uncomfortable because you have this kind of aggressive or ambitious streak. He also talks about the fact that when you give up your ambitions, you're actually lowering your self-respect in life. So that to me was another significant reminder to value my ambitions as much as I can and to follow them as much as I can. So I don't know if this makes any sense or if it's helpful for you, but I wanted to share this idea about, is it wrong to be ambitious? I personally obviously don't think that it is wrong, but I do know that it's not an easy path at times. So if you are an ambitious person and you'd like to comment and share about your experiences, I would love to read them. I'd love to, get to know what you would like to do in your life, no matter what it is, whether it is achieving a lot of money or a specific type of goal, becoming a certain type of person. Whatever your ambitions are, they are a true reflection of your nature, and they are the thing that your fear is fighting against. So I encourage you to be as ambitious as you want to be, to go for the dreams that you want to do. Once again, my name is Daniel. Thank you for watching. And as always, thank you for improving yourself.